All right, so first of all, is my audio better?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Zoom keeps changing its settings and not wanting to cooperate. All right, so lots of stuff for today. I'm going back to the agenda here. So first and foremost, 921 release. So that's why Ash, Oliver, and I were late getting here. We've got everything pretty close to ready to go for that release. It will be going out later today. When it goes out, we're going to be coordinating so that the release goes on GitHub. My blog with the community information goes out, as well as Ash's release of the Evoke stuff and the blog post for Evoke users goes out all at the same time. So our target for that is around 2 hours after the end of this meeting.
Hey, Mitchell, just so you know, that blog, because of when we put it in the system, if you were to turn it live now, it would show up like after the blogs that posted since then.
So change the date?
Yeah, either change the date or just recreate a new one.
Okay, I'll just change the date. Recreating a new one sounds like something I'd break today.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, it's been one of those days.
And the whole site goes down.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, you can't do that anymore. But so basically with that release, the only thing I wanted to make note here within this group, we had the release candidate. It was out there for 2 weeks. We got one additional bit of, there was one bug that was pretty bad and breaking, which was the one with the tree view. That did get fixed and pushed into the RC1 release that was done over the weekend. Due to all of the things that are being held up with 922 by the fact that 921 hasn't been done, is the push to get 921 out there. There haven't been any other major bugs reported, and we've confirmed in multiple cases that the broken bug that required us to do things was fixed. So I want to talk a little bit later with regards to like 922 and future releases on what we do when we do have to, create an amended release and document that process a little bit better for the community. I'm calling attention to it in the blog announcing the release of 921. Just kind of noting that, this is what we did, this is how we're doing it, this is why we did it. Because the key being here, as soon as we click the go button, this allows ESW to kind of take the next or last step necessary to consuming the automated builds that Oliver and Andrew have been working on. Meaning that rather than us having to go to Tomas, go to Ash and say, hey, we need the install package, we need the upgrade package, we need these assets. The community is generating them, and the ESW QA team will be consuming those assets. So getting to that point ahead of the 922 code freeze is incredibly important, and it will require them, they'll be shutting down their internal build process, either shutting it down, turning it off, or just ignoring it for a little while. But that will be kind of the last symbolic piece of the community doing everything. We've got a couple things to fix yet in our build scripts to generate the NuGet packages and everything else ahead of 922, but that shouldn't be a problem at all based on what Oliver has been working with. So that's the plan with 921. With that out the door, 922 then becomes our next priority, as we talked last meeting, of code freeze basically coming up here in just a couple weeks. Wanted to reach out with this group at this point, right? Obviously, we're focusing on the automation pipeline switchover, which we're getting which will be happening here in the next day or so. Are there other things out there that this group sees that we really need to make sure gets addressed one way or another as part of a 922?
Can't think of anything.
Okay.
Well, the only thing I'd say is maybe because the Google Analytics, it'd be nice if, I don't know what kind of progress Mike has made on that, but it'd be nice if that could make it.
So Mike posted an update in the meetings group there. He said he wasn't going to be able to join the meeting. He's got a pretty good sample of the connector API up and running as documentation. His current estimate is, I think he said like a few hours of work to connect that to the existing analytics engine. So that was like option 3 in the poll last week. And he just wanted to bring up the subject since he wasn't going to be here and figure out if we could come up with a, like you said, a collective direction on the route we want to take with analytics.
Hey, Oliver, do you know if he's posting that into GitHub anywhere, or is this all local for him?
I don't know where he's doing development. I haven't like gone and sneaked into his GitHub account. But my guess is it's probably local until he has, it functional.
Did we come to some consensus on like what we're trying to do in V1? Just basic GA, or are we looking at GTM?
No, I mean, the basic options that I think were on the table last week at the last meeting were either write basically a connector that plugs in and it's a completely new like analytics engine, and we mark the old one as deprecated. Option 2 was to add the text box into the persona bar and just restore the old functionality and the old UI for managing analytics. And then Mike came up with option 3 after the meeting, which was create the connector UI. So it wouldn't be on like, the server host settings page in the persona bar. It would be under connectors, but behind the scenes, it would still just connect to the existing analytic engine.
Now, sorry, I have 2 questions regarding that. If we're going to implement a Google Tag Manager, then we don't need to implement analytics because you're going to configure that through the Google Tag Manager, right?
Yeah, correct.
That was my question 1. Question 2 is this, are we planning to put this into 922, or 922 will include only bug fixes and new things we'll get on 9.3?
I mean, I guess a new feature would have to wait till 9.3, but you could probably smudge the lines a little bit and say this was an existing feature that was removed and we're just restoring functionality. It's nothing, quote unquote new. It's just a different place for. Yeah,
that was my question, how strict we go about semantic versioning.
Yeah, I think in this case, we have people that are upgrading that are expecting the old thing to work and it's not there. So I don't think that we need to be totally hung up on re-enabling a feature in this case. True semantic versioning, I'd be like, yeah, okay, we need to wait. But if we can get it in and we know it's going to work, then I think it would be acceptable to bring it in at this point. But
so if that's the case,
it'd be far more likely to work if it just was the connector hooking into what was already there.
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
I think that if it's more involved than that, then I think it probably does make sense that it hold until 9.3.
Okay. So if that's the case, to your question of things that we would like to put in 922, I've put a pull request for the host email. It's ready to go. And I'm going to try to have the page icons too for 922.
Okay. Yeah, but I think both of those as well. Those are, in my mind, the re-enabling of a feature that had been there for 10 years that disappeared. Mm-hmm. I think that counts as a bug fix.
Okay, so
And
host email,
I'll stand behind it.
awesome. So host email, if someone can just validate that my pull request is correct, and I'm gonna try to add the page icons for 922.
Awesome.
Yep, of course. I already started a review. I haven't finished it yet. I will finish it after the 921 release goes out.
Yep, I was gonna say the same thing here. I've looked at it a little bit, but been slightly distracted with 921 and other weird things.
We've got 2 ESW issues that are open and currently in the 922 milestone. So I'm not sure if there's fixes that are coming in the next week until the code freeze for 922. But they are issue 2176, full exports, do not update existing HTML Pro modules, and 2172, import, export, circular dependency, and pages not to be imported.
Let me double check them. Can you just put them on the chat? I'll just have a look.
Yep, for sure. And then the third issue that's open is our Newtonsoft bug that came in, I think, like a couple days after our initial code freeze for 921. Brian has done some recent research on it, where it looks like the issue might be a lot smaller scoped than initially we thought. But this is something I would like to, see if we can continue and try to fully resolve the root cause of these upgrade issues, and see if we can get that fixed in 922 as well.
Right, so about these two DNN, so the ESW issues, both have a linked pull request, just waiting there for review.
Okay.
I mean, one is apparently on CLA. I'm not sure if there are any other comments on that one. So the one that DNN8338. I mean, it's kind of weird because Manuel has submitted a pull request and he has, oh yeah, it actually says all CLA requirements met. So it's just the status. Oh no, that's actually good. Sorry. So it just needs a review.
Okay. Perfect. No, I didn't realize that there were pull requests that were pending for those. So that's great.
Sure. Have to watch for those, like GitHub comments of references. Sure. The other one also, well, it says VSTS failed. We'll have to check on the failure there.
So, I mean, the build tasks have been going from a failure to a working state as we've been trying to get artifacts publishing. And
I see. So maybe it's a matter of kicking off the same commit again and it will pass.
yeah, I can, if you want to have the build output linked to this pull request, the only way that I know how to do that is you'll have to push another change.
Well, I think, I'm not sure about VSTS, but it should be possible to restart the build or point it to a specific commit and it will update the status accordingly.
I can run them manually. I can say run a pull request, run a build on this pull request, but I found it doesn't update that pull request with the outcome of that build.
Well, I see. If you can run the specific commit and then just write that it passed, why not?
Yep.
Just
sure.
to do a due diligence.
For sure. And then I guess on the subject of the build tasks, working on getting the artifacts fully published. So the build should go from yellow, mostly successful, to green, completely successful here today. Let's see, the other thing that was changed in the build scripts in the last week was we now also have a variable to control the target branches for all of the external extensions that we're consuming. So no longer is it set to build everything from development. Currently what's checked in builds the persona bar from the 1.6.0 release, and in VSTS we can control that with a variable. So we can queue a build back on development or on the 1.7.0 release whenever that gets tagged.
So actually, about pull requests, they on the scope. So there are some more issues in pull requests that are not tagged as 922. So unless they get confirmed, I mean, if they get confirmed and merged, then we're still in time to before the code freeze, right? So we still solid on putting them on the 922.
Yep.
Yeah, no, if we want, if we've got time, we can review those issues now and scope them into 922 or 93.
I don't think we have to do it just now. Let me just label and make sure there are issues for each one of them, and I can message them on Slack.
There's also an issue with the state dropdown that gets basically there's a dropdown that comes out from DNN, but if you have history in your browser, that auto-populates from the browser, which covers the DNN UI. So I think that's a quick fix, and we could get that in 922.
Yeah, if you're willing to submit the
it
pull
is.
request.
No, the pull request, no. The issue is there, but not yet the pull request.
No, but what I'm saying is if you're willing to get the pull request submitted before the deadline, we'll definitely make sure it gets reviewed and gets into the release.
Yeah, I'll try to.
And any bug fixes that are, in before the code freeze, we'll definitely review and try to get everything that makes sense into that release. I mean, that at least that's my view on it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, as with anything, the earlier we can know that something's going to come in, the better. I don't want this to be like the college homework assignments, right? The deadline's this day, and everybody's rushing in to submit it at midnight. But if it comes in and it's a clean pull request, we'll get it processed before the freeze. I think that's the biggest thing. We saw a lot of great activity with the 921 release. And I think with all of this other stuff, we want to get everything in that we can. I just want to make sure that we have enough time to adequately validate anything that gets published out there. So, if you're working on this big Uber change that's going to be complex to test and you don't warn anybody about it and it doesn't come in until the day before code freeze, that's the kind of thing that may have to wait just a little bit. So, anything we can do to be better. All right. Anything else about 9.2, 9.22, 9.2, whatever, 9.3?
So what are our official code freeze dates for 9.2.2 and 9.3? I would like to add them into the roadmap.
Please hold.
And right now I just have vague releases of August for 9.2.2, September, or August for 9.2.1, September for 9.2.2, and November for 9.3.
So what we had discussed in the past was 9.2.2 code freezing on August 17th, with the RC coming out August 19th. And Ash, I guess the question I have for you is, will that work with the ESW QA team?
So what timeline were you saying?
Code freeze on the 17th, which then would be release candidate on the 19th.
So next Friday, code freeze, and the RC comes out on Sunday?
Basically making sure that the RC is out that Sunday or Monday, the 19th or the 20th.
And when is the release? The final release?
And then the release we'd be looking at
September 4th.
September 4th.
I think that's fine. Thomas, do you see any red flags there? I mean, we actually wanted to do 9.2.2 as soon as possible, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's something already there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that are already there that are important, and also I'd rather keep it to a smaller release to make sure we have all of the kinks out with the automation. So as long as there's no pressing reason of like we really need a lot of time. So now with that, We then talked about for 9.3 setting the code freeze date as being October 5th. So basically that would give us roughly 7 weeks or so to work on a 9.3.0 release. We already have a couple things that are slated for 9.3.0 anyway. And then basically that would be a code freeze on the 5th of October, release candidate on the 8th of October, and then an actual release on the 22nd for 9.3. Any concerns there? And I have in my notes here things that we're looking at for that async deferred JavaScript stuff, right? Which Oliver, you and I need to meet about. Sebastian, we had down for you the new scripting pattern that you were talking about at Connect for 9.3.
I don't have that called out here. I just have GDPR called out.
Oh, yeah. I'm going off of the shared Google Doc that we'd had from a while back.
Gotcha. Yep.
And then I have some string performance improvement stuff, which came up from some of the code reviews that I'm going to try to get in there. And then we had GDPR as well. Any concerns with those timelines?
We will see.
Yeah, so I do want to say one thing. I think there has been some performance updates done by Ben Zhang already. I think they're 9.2.2, because you mentioned performance. So I think there's some, yeah, we're tracking some heavy usage side, high performance side. So I've been actually involved there as well. So we're finding some things. So you will continue to see some more updates from Ben Zhang. So, and I know there were some questions. People are questioning why this, because those changes look really weird. You know, there's 1 or 2 lines here and there, but they make a lot of difference. So
yeah, there's a couple that I'm looking at too that are like 14 character changes, but will reduce the memory footprint by about 12%. So it's some real fun stuff that's going to be coming in those reviews. And you know, Oliver, we should try to make, so one of the things that we were talking about, and I don't have as a specific agenda item, but we were talking about this a week or so ago. If there's a pull request that you see out there that is worth a special call out or a special highlight in the release notes, I want to make sure that we do something to get those tagged so that we know what's out there.
Yeah, I started to do that with a couple of them.
Yeah, as I say, I think we've done it with a couple of them, but I want to just make sure that when we look at that, we don't want to tag everything. But like if there's something noteworthy of, hey, don't let Oliver forget to put this in the release notes, you know, or don't let us forget to call that out in the blog. You know, let's just make sure to utilize those tags to be able to track some of that. All right, so. And then Daniel, for the persona bar stuff, so you've got the pull request in, you got the overview and stuff from Ash and Tomas. Are you then working on getting some documentation put together? Is that?
Yes, I have a PowerPoint ready. I've been trying to record a video since this morning, and they didn't want me to do this, so I'm trying for tonight.
Okay. I understand that completely. All right, so perfect. So that should give us something. And then are you planning to just release that, Daniel, as a blog on DNN software, or what are you thinking of doing with the content in the end?
I would like to have a video version a bit longer that starts from 0 and to set up your development environment, and that would cover the core modules, the DNN software, the main repository, as well as the persona bar. But that's going to be something long, and then I would like to make 3 shorter documents that we can put in text.
Awesome.
For the persona bar, for the main repository, and for the core modules.
Awesome.
The one thing it's going to be changing here in the next couple days is combining all those repositories into one. So.
Yep, that's what I was just going to say. Oliver, do
Yeah.
you want to chat about that a little bit in terms of how that might impact Daniel?
So Brian, did he drop off the call here? It looks like he did.
Yeah, he said he had to drop early.
Oh, I didn't see that. So he sent me a message a couple days after our last meeting, and he has figured out some Git magic dust to sprinkle over his keyboard as he's typing that will merge everything and retain the history. So I got to touch base with him to actually, I don't know, he didn't go into any more details. He just said he tried it. He's got the pull request ready, but because of not being able to make this change until after 9.2.1 ships, I didn't want him to submit that work until, we were ready to make that change. So after the 9.2.1 release goes out, I will be starting, my plan was on Friday. I've got availability over the weekend to work on getting all that merged and published and cleaned up. So the 4 separate repositories, the 3 for the persona bar and the React common, will all get combined into a single new repository called DNN.admin experience. There'll be, separate subfolders in the root for each of the extensions. I'm not sure, we can name them anything we want, but, one will probably just be library, one will be extensions, one will be common, one will be edit bar. I guess if we want to go with any different names for them, now would be the time to make that decision. And then there'll be a new solution file in the root that will open up all the individual projects. So you'll be able to get everything open in Visual Studio and in one place. And then we'll just need to, I think, manually create the issues that are in each of those repositories in the new repository. And either mark the old ones as private, or since we have retained the history, we can, I think, safely, maybe delete them, maybe mark them as private for a month or 2 months, and then delete them from the account. That's basically my the internal checklist I've got for that work item.
What are we looking as far as timeline before we have everything in one repository? Should I wait for that before recording a video about that, or?
So my goal is to basically get all that up. I told Ash that I would get it up. I would start Friday after the 9.2.1 release,
okay,
and have it done by Sunday. That way, the traditional work week is Monday through Friday. So hopefully, any internal development wouldn't be hindered by this move if it was, 2-3 working business days. But then I also found out that ESW is allowed to work any day. So I still might be stepping on someone's toes, but the work has to get done, and there's really no easy way to make the transition. I mean, I think, yes, it would make sense to wait to do these videos, and I would hate for you to have to redo that work in 1 week's time. The process of making the changes and the pull request, it should be simpler, because if your change is in the edit bar, if it's in React Common, if it's an extension in the persona bar, it's a single pull request for any of those. So if your change is more complicated and actually touches all 3 of those projects, you don't have to submit 3 pull requests for your change. You'd submit 1.
I think I'm still gonna make a part 1,
okay,
and wait on that change to mention what's specific to the persona bar after that change.
Okay.
Ash, how often is anyone at ESW actually touching these React repositories?
You can look into the history, right? I mean, it depends. It could be a guy could be working all week on it, right? Because the UI is all there. All the UI for everything is in Persona Bar, so there is a good chance that someone is working there.
I mean, the only project I'm questioning merging into one would be the React.common. I don't know if that makes more sense to keep separate in its own repository, or if it makes sense to just merge the 4 of them into one.
React.common is all the that's just all the
React.common is not needed for someone to build DNN per se, right?
Yeah, that's just all the components that they're going to download from NPM.
Yeah, the component needs to be. I know, Matt, you're working on it, right? Publishing the component to a common place, NPM. And the developers would use it by doing NPM install. It would automatically download it. So technically, it can stay outside. I mean, it doesn't get shipped or anything. You don't need it to do local development on DNN per se. But
not even for the Persona Bar, it's not needed?
Well, I mean, if you intend to make a change in a common component, yes, definitely, but not on a day-to-day basis. For example, there is a tree view control, right? A folder picker. If there's a bug there or there is a UI that needs to be updated there, then you would go in and do that.
Yeah, but I guess half of me is thinking that, it's only used in the Persona Bar. So if there is a bug fix in the tree view and you have to update the extensions that are using that tree view and the React.common tree view component, I mean, it would I think, make sense to have that all just in one solution. I mean, they're all individual projects still. We're not changing how namespaces or anything's loaded. But I think from a management and a pull request standpoint, you'd be able to submit a single pull request for fixing the actual tree view component and, applying that change or new feature or whatever into the Persona Bar extensions that are utilizing it.
Yeah, my other thing would be how sensitive is the build for the React.common, just because I've submitted a few issues here where, I mean, just
updating stuff and everything.
The Webpack and the ESLint and all that is just.
So I mean, the plan for 9.2.2, I think, is we really don't want to make too many foundational changes. We want to kind of keep, I don't know, the build somewhat similar between 9.2.1 and 9.2.2. I think for 9.3.0, getting all that stuff in would be great.
Oliver, you're still proposing that you still have a common repo, right? You're still proposing merging at least 3 of those, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely proposing 3 are definitely need to be merged together. My gut says common deserves to be in there as well, so all 4 get merged into one. But if you guys don't agree, we can keep common separate.
Yeah, I don't have a problem one way or the other. The only thing is that someone in the community needs to understand how common works, because I don't think people have understood. And maybe when Daniel does his videos, he will uncover this, that if a bug is found in the common, what are some of the implications, how you do it? Because you not only have to push a change there, but also somehow push it to the NPM repo as well. It used to be MyGet. I don't know what it is right now. So that
it's still MyGet.
Still MyGet, right? So that is a separate exercise that has to be streamlined.
Yeah. So I mean, all that would be in VSTS.
Okay.
Yeah, because I could put something like that in the YAML file, right, Oliver? So after you guys merge all these, then I can put in a build file specific for VSTS on how.
Yeah, we can
Some of
either,
this is-
right now, our builds that we're setting up are just directly in VSTS. I know Brian wants to, after we get everything stabilized and not changing so frequently, then port that back as a YAML file in the platform config. And then, yeah, we should set up, I already have builds set up for the persona bar, for CK editor. We just have to go through, finish configuring them, adding whatever steps we need to generate a build and get it published at release time.
Awesome.
And if you would like to handle that, Matt, we'll get you access to VSTS, and you can make the changes for the persona bar. I will.
I mean, Oliver, I'll support if you want to have a separate meeting. I think someone was looking at their watch.
Yeah, I think what we'd like to do is Matt, Ash, Oliver, or anybody else, and Daniel, if you guys could meet
Thomas,
and Thomas to discuss the merging, because I actually just uncovered something else that I want to chat about while we still have time.
Yeah, for sure. It would just need to be before Friday because my availability to do the work is.
Yeah, if you guys could try to arrange something shortly after. Actually, you know what? If I get just a couple minutes, I just want to chat something because it just made me remember something. So,
no problem.
First of all, Clint, can you stop recording?